So Renny, I really liked The Strangers Chapter 1 and obviously like The Strangers Chapter 2, but I think the thing I was kind of most impressed about here is how kind of different they feel. I mean, they're both like obviously a sequel in the same world and all that, but like the first one is such a claustrophobic home invasion thriller, like tense in all those kind of ways. And in Chapter 2 here, you kind of expand it so we go like outside of that cabin and into the bigger city. And it takes place over a couple days. How would you say things have kind of changed in terms of chapter one to chapter two? Like, what should audiences kind of prepare themselves for and expect with this new one?
Good question. And I must say that there was always an element of frustration that we experienced making the first one because, we wanted to pay homage to the original The Strangers by Brian Bertino. Uh, we didn't want to copy it, but we wanted to use it as the premise of this series of movies and set up the stage the same way they did in the original movie. At the same time, that put us in an unfavorable position of telling that same story more or less in the first movie. So I always was kind of chomping at the bit to get to the second movie to be able to show the audience where we go with the characters and everything else. And and in a funny way, for me, the second movie, the second chapter, was kind of like my first Rambo movie,
Mm.
First Blood. It's a survival movie, and I wanted to make the canvas more epic. First movie, it's a home invasion, and let's call this a town invasion. So now we get to explore the town more, the surrounding forests and different locations. It was just an opportunity to make it bigger and still concentrate, laser sharply on our main character and her psychological journey, and also start revealing bits and pieces about the strangers without without changing the fact that the attacks are random and there's no rhyme or reason for to this. But yeah, I wanted this movie to feel very different from the first one. Same characters, same paranoia, but totally different setting.
Yeah, town invasion. I like that. That sums it up really good because I don't know. It's creepy. You don't really know who you can trust or anything like that. I thought that was
Can't trust
super effective.
anybody. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm. So you shot The Strangers Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3 all at the same time. And I'm sure that was like no small feat. I'm sure there were all kind of challenges that kind of came with doing something like that. Now that everything is like said and done, you film the movies, they're coming out. Is this something you'd ever like want to try again? Like, do you feel like you learned something from this experience that would like equip
Oh
you for
yeah.
the future? Or is it a case of once was good?
Oh no, I all I've learned is that I would insist on having more time because
Mm.
now we shot three movies in 53 days, and that was tough. And the challenge was that we were shooting literally to amortize the sets because we have some sets in common in all three movies, though they are very different. But there are certain sets that we used more or less in all three movies. And so once we are in a certain setting, we shoot all three movies there. So we might be this morning shooting episode two, and in the evening shooting episode one, and next morning shooting episode three. And that made it a challenge for the actors to always be in a right emotional place,
Mm.
makeup people to have the blood and gore match, and for all of us just to be able to always remember where are we and how intense should this be, and are we in a lull or are we at the peak. But the privilege was how often as a filmmaker do you get to explore the characters for 4.5 hours instead of 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
So having a 273 page script was incredible, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. I'd love to do it, but but I would say we need more time.
Yeah, sure. No, that makes total sense. And there's a moment in this movie that I'm just dying to talk to you about. Right at the beginning in the hospital. I'm such a sucker for like one shots in a movie, and I loved it when the strangers are walking around those different rooms trying to find her. It's filmed so great and it's so tense. Can you just tell me a little bit kind of about filming that moment and like was there any big challenges that you had to like kind of deal with to make that all work?
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you pointed that out, and it was something that I just wanted to explore, not to impress people or be a fancy filmmaker or anything like that, but I just felt like that environment lent itself to something like that in a very organic way, and it took us several hours to rehearse the shot because it had to had to follow my through the corridors to tell different story points, get the reveals of the threat in the right place and right time and all that. So it's because the pacing and the rhythm and the reveals and the misleads and it's easier to do that when you're doing it in the editing room and you're getting just all the beats right. But when you can't edit and it's just you have to edit it in camera, it takes time to design. But then once we had rehearsed it, then it didn't take that many takes to get exactly the take we wanted.